Hey everyone, it's Desiree, and I am here again for Spellbinders to show one of their die delights, and it's called Tiger Oh My. One of the things that I do like about these die delights is it's like a puzzle, and I love puzzles. So with all of these pieces, I mean, it says you get 14 dies, but that one die alone has all of the little tiny pieces or the stripes of the tiger. Now, as always, when it comes to their packaging and so on the other side, there's always an inspirational piece just to give you some ideas on how this little piece goes together, how it'll work, and everything else that you may have a question on. So let's get started. So I've already taken care of die cutting my pieces. It does take time to do this, but what's also great is this is a great scrap reducer. That's the only place where I went, was this little tiny pot that I have sitting at the end of my table, and that's where I put all of my scraps, my small pieces, and they'll sit there for a little bit. If I find that I'm not using them, they go away. But I dug into that, and that's where I got all of the pieces that I die cut. So it helps to cut into that. I'm going to be using a couple of my distress inks. One is black soot, and the other one is pumice stone. I kept the cardstock that the pieces that are white, because I'm going to make one of those gray and white tigers. I'm going to use that, put those pieces back in there so that I could just do the edges. Some of these pieces are really small, and I thought by using the piece that I die cut in, it would go a little bit quicker for me to just ink around those edges. And no, not using vintage photo. Yes. So I'm using one of my finger sponge daubers, and I'm just going around the areas that I want the shading to be, knowing that some of these are going to be in the front, some of these are going to be in the back. And what I mean by that is there's always a test piece when it comes to these that I put together. And what I do is, again, I go into my scrap pot and I grab a piece of cardstock and I just die cut all these pieces and put it together to say, okay, this is where this one goes, this is where this one goes, just so that I can work it through, so that the frustrations not during the time that I'm putting the card. I do try to do that. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. This time I actually did it. So now I'm going to come in with the black soot onto the gray pieces. So these are really tiny. I should have done the same thing with those, but I figured it's okay. It's distress ink. It'll wash off my finger. These are very, very tiny, but I just wanted to put just a little bit of amount of that ink, just to give it some dimension. So now I'm really going to speed up this part, because now I'm just putting it together. I'm just laying the pieces where they need to go. So the first section I'm working on is the face, the upper body part. I'm putting in the two side stripes, the top stripe, and then we'll work on the face components. Tweezers do help. I actually used my tweezers. I'm using my art glitter glue to adhere all of the pieces, and eventually you're going to see me pull in my wax pencil, because some of these dots, you can see them on the white cardstock there off to the left, yet they're tiny little pieces. That does come in handy as well. Excuse me. So you can see I have pretty much the major pieces together. Now I'm going to work on the tail, because yes, we do have some stripes for the tail, and this is where the wax pencil comes in, just so that I can pick up those small pieces and put them down onto the tail portion so that they can dry. Once they are dry and I stop throwing it across my table, yeah, I was having fun with this, I do want to attach that to the body, and now I'm going to attach the ears. And I do have pink cardstock cut for the inside of the ears and the cheeks. Now, you could use, if you have an alcohol marker, you could use that. I do come in with a darker shade of pink for the ears, just to give that some shading instead of using my Distress inks. You could also just put that directly onto your cardstock. You could use a regular marker as well. It doesn't have to be an alcohol marker. And the same thing for the cheeks. You could use a marker or watercolor for that as well. I'm placing the nose, and of course we made that black. And then we're going to set the eyes in place as well. I'm going to put the strip or the ribbon that goes around the hat on, but I'm not going to attach the hat yet. I'll attach the hat once we go to the card. Same thing with the eyepiece that goes over his one eye, because I think that is just so adorable. And then I'll set the bow in place as well. So now on to the card construction. So I pulled out my frame dies from Spellbinders, and I'm going to set them. I grabbed the smallest and then the second to largest. There's 4 in this set. And I'm going to hold those in place using some tape, because I want the opening. I want to create a frame, but I want the opening off to the left-hand side. I am going to use a piece of craft paper by Michaels, and that's where our little tiger is going to sit. Now, this is cute, but I thought it was very plain. It was missing something. I just felt it. So there's 2 things that I'm going to bring in. One is a piece of white cardstock that I want to put behind him. Now, I know he's white, but that's okay. We're going to add some color, but I'm going to use my embossing folder. And this is, there's a couple of them, and this is from Fun Stamper's Journey, and it's just these clouds. So in a specific spot, I'm going to emboss that. And to make those clouds stand out, I'm going to add some Ocean Mist Gina K ink using my Nouveau blending brushes. And I just want a light shade of ink going across that, because I want the clouds to be white. So I just want that hint of color to come around it. So I think that's just perfect. It's just enough. You can barely see it. I know the camera's hardly picking it up. But I just like the effect that it does give. I probably should have, or could have put some more where it's flat and not raised. But I just wanted the outline of it. I'm going to prop my tiger up onto the panel with the clouds. And then I'll set the frame up on that once we do one more thing with the frame. So just eyeballing this, putting that down, and that is perfect. And even still, I'm not centering him. I grabbed another embossing folder from Fun Stamper's Journey. Now this one's like it's a lot of dots, but they go off in an array. It's like a center point. Think of a sun and then the rays coming out. That's kind of what this was set up as. So I thought that would be great, just to give it a little bit of texture, a little bit of interest on that frame. Using a lot of double-sided foam squares, I'm going to set my frame right down over the tiger. And then we're going to get our standard A2 size card base. And I'm still using those from my stash that I had. So this will be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. It will be still a top folding, even though it's regularly a side folding. And I'm going to set him down, because I used my liquid adhesive and my foam squares. And again, I'm going to set him off to the left-hand side. I'm going to put his little top hat on, and that's going to come up over the frame. That's why I did wait to put that down. I'm going to clean that up a little bit, but I just wanted to put some glue down there just to make sure that stayed. And then I want to set the eyepiece in place as well. And I did choose gold for that. I wanted that to stand out just a little bit. Since there are so many layers on this, I am going to pull out an acrylic block just to put some weight on that so that it will stick down. Now, I've already taken care of my sentiment. Now, the sentiment comes from a previous kit that I received from Amazing Paper Grace. It was the pop-up card that came out of the center. So I'm using the hello sentiment from that. I did die cut the hello 3 times to make it a little thicker. And then for the background, I used a piece of vellum. And I'm going to set that right down onto the corner. But you can see it's coming off of the card just a little bit. So that's why I kind of wanted to set that off to the side just to give the sentiment some room. Now we're going to do some accents. So I'm going to put some highlights into the tiger's eye just to make them come to life a little bit. I'm also going to grab my black glaze pen and I'm going to fill in the little tiny dots on his cheeks. So I wanted to make sure that they had something to go. So I just used the black glaze pen for that. Can't talk. I'm just going to put some highlights too on my sentiment on the one side using my white gel pen, just so those letters stand out. Not that they're not already stand out. It is black. I'm going to do the Jennifer trick that I am now addicted to, putting down using my sparkle or my glitter pen from Spectrum Noir. And then I'm going to come in with my glaze pen and put some glaze right over the sentiment to give it some shine and just to help make that stand out. Now again, it looks fine just the way that it is. You do not have to add the glitter, the glaze, or the white gel pen. It was absolutely fine. I do find that this glaze from Nuvo does move rather quickly, which helps. And then I would suggest using a tool like a straight pin with the ball end. I just happen to have this one here. It's got a rounded end or a stylus to help move the glaze to even it out. I find that smoother than using, you know, like a craft pick or anything else, because I stab the cardstock. I'm just saying. And that is our card. I did stamp inside. Of course, I didn't realize I was not filming that, but that's from the Sentiment Clear Stamp Set by Spellbinders that you can build. And I just typed in or stamped in there, "Have an awesome day." So, of course, these are the close-ups of the card that we made using the products received from Spellbinders. And again, it is called Tiger Oh My, and it is from their Die Delights collection. I do hope you enjoy that. If you have any questions or comments, please leave those down below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Also, all of the products that I used will be listed down below in the video description. You want to make sure you hit that upside down triangle for it to expand so that you can see everything down in that description. You don't want to miss some of the information that I have in there. But I do want to thank you so much for taking the time today to stop by and watching my video. If you haven't already, I would love for you to subscribe and be a part of my group, and make sure you won't be able to miss the next video. Here are a few other videos using Spellbinders products I thought you might like, and I hope everyone's having a great day. Remember, take care, but always remember what's most important for me. Always be creative.